crazy right now. Obviously for the Buffalo Bills, free agency's been crazy the first 2 days. Yesterday we signed Taewon Jones, so that's fun. So again, guys, welcome to Believers Talk. My name is Joe. If you are new to this channel, you want to go ahead and hit that subscribe button and like this video and leave a comment. I always love hearing from you guys, so make sure you leave a comment. And again, I will happily reply to as many comments as I can. But in this edition of Believers Talk, we're obviously going to talk about the most recent rumors. I'm going to keep my phone on because we know that Brandon Beane likes to do some of his best transactions in the night. We know how he rolls. Remember the first day of free agency, we were live when the Buffalo Bills traded for Stephon Diggs. We were live because nothing had happened. And then all of a sudden we signed clean. We trade for we trade for Diggs. And then we signed somebody else. It was like boom, 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 3 things right in a row. First day. It was amazing. So we know that just because it's 9:30 on the East Coast does not mean that, hey, hope all is well. Marcos, I hope all is well with you. Same to you and yours. Everything's going great over here so far. I mean, work's a little stressful. I'm sure a lot of you are feeling the same thing. Some of you aren't able to work, and so for you, I hope that everything is going okay. Let's go Buffalo, says Brandon. Absolutely, we are here. I'm going to give you guys all a minute to get in here. And like I said, I'm going to keep my phone on, and hopefully, maybe, we'll get some updates again while we're live. But we'll talk about free agency. We'll talk about Todd Gurley. We'll talk about turn the volume up. Let me see if I can do that real quick. I do apologize. Can you guys hear me? Hey, Buffalo sports fan. I want to make sure that you guys can hear me. So let's see what I can do here. Tell me if this gets too loud. Tell me if it is still not loud enough. I did make some adjustments. Yeah, and I reported it, so maybe it will happen again. Maybe William, how you doing? Hey, Daniel, welcome to Believers Talk. Guys, remember, as you're coming in here, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Brian, please let me know if it's louder. I did try to change some of the adjustments real quick, so just let me know. If you guys are having trouble hearing me, let me know that as well, so that way I can make sure that you guys hear me. I want to get to all your comments. Gurley and Diggs have been tweeting back and forth. Not sure I want him and his arthritic knees, but interesting. Guys, remember about value. When we talk about value, right, we'll talk about the dollars that would cost for a Gurley, for a Melvin Gordon. To be honest, if it is Todd Gurley, there are reasons why I don't expect it to be done today, but who knows? I've been surprised before, and I know that Brandon Beane is doing his research. Listen, that's why Brandon Beane's the GM of this team. He knows more than I do, and he is doing his due diligence as we speak. Maybe that's why they didn't get a deal done with Gordon sooner, because the Gordon rumors started earlier today. So maybe that's why they didn't get one done sooner, because they heard rumors that the Rams were going to release Todd Gurley, and they wanted to check all their options first, right? They want to make sure they know everything before. Geek Squad comes and says the volume is fine. Good. Glad to hear it, guys. Aloha, Chris Spencer. Glad you can make it. Welcome to Believers Talk again, guys. As you're rolling in here, make sure that thumbs up button really helps out the channel, and I really do appreciate it. So, obviously, the big rumors so far for the Buffalo Bills are tied around Melvin Gordon and Todd Gurley. As many of you know, the LA Rams released Todd Gurley today, because if they did not release him, they would have owed him $10.5 million just in signing bonuses and roster bonuses and things like that. So they released him. They were looking for a trade partner this whole time, and they were unable to find one. So they released Todd Gurley. If you go to The Score, which is the app that I use, the Buffalo Bills are listed as one of the 5 destinations for Todd Gurley. We know that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we know that teams are interested in players are interested in going to Tampa due to the fact that they got this TB12 guy there now that teams want to play with. Gordon rumors came from good sources. Yeah, Steve, absolutely they did. They absolutely did. But all the rumors, all they were rumors, though, right? No one said, oh, Gordon's signing with the Bills. They were in talks, and that's great. And you need to start somewhere. You need to start talking. So, obviously these rumors have merit, but again, they're just rumors that we are talking with Melvin Gordon. Do I believe that we're talking with Melvin Gordon? Absolutely. Do I believe that we're close to a deal, or we have a number in mind that Melvin Gordon wants? Absolutely, I believe that too. Now it's just a matter of how Melvin Gordon would fit this team. And since there was the release of Todd Gurley, maybe it's a little bit of, hey, hold on a second. Let's see what else we could do. Hey, James, how you doing? Bills have a good training facility. Yes, they do. They have, they just got a new training facility last season. It's state of the art. Looks really good. I know a lot of players were happy about it. Buffalo Mafia News comes in. Both are so expensive. Are they though? You figure getting a Todd Gurley who has the arthritis in the knees, who really hasn't had a breakout year like he did 2-3 years ago. And you have a Melvin Gordon who held out two years ago, or at least last offseason, looking for a better deal. Had a mediocre season the past season. He missed the first 3 or 4 games due to the holdout, and so he had a came back, had a mediocre season. Buffalo Mafia News says, I want Carlos Hyde. At least with someone like Carlos Hyde, you don't have the drama, right? You don't have the drama of a holdout. You don't have the drama of the arthritic knees. You have a guy who's solid, right? A solid NFL running back, a solid number 2 behind Devin Singletary, and that's another thing you have to consider as well. Will Todd Gurley and Melvin Gordon both want to be number 1s wherever they go? Because if you come here to Buffalo, you're not going to be a number 1. You're not going to be a number 1. Devin Singletary has proven that he's going to be our number 1 guy. Word on Gordon was $6 million for 1 year and $9 million for 2. Or somewhere around there. Yeah, I think what I heard about Melvin Gordon was if we sign him for 2 years, it will be very much backloaded, right? Because he'll have to earn it in his second year. So if you're talking $9 million, maybe 4 in the first year, 5, 3, and 6, something like that. So he has to earn that money in that first year to get that money in the second year. And to be honest, I'd be okay with a deal like that. I would be okay with a 2-year, $9 million deal where 3 or 4 of that is now for the first season, and then we can discuss possibly having that second year option to keep him on this team for another $5 million. Now that's up to Gordon though, because Gordon, he might feel like he can outplay that contract, and then all of a sudden he's going to want more money in that second year. And on Twitter, and guys, if you're not following me on Twitter, be sure to do so. Twitter.com/Billievers Talk. But on Twitter, I put something out there because I asked, who would you rather have, Todd Gurley or Melvin Gordon? There were so many Melvin Gordons, including myself. If I had a choice between 2, I would choose Melvin Gordon over Todd Gurley. However, if you want to talk about Todd Gurley, only one of the 2 running backs out of those 2 guys never held out, right? And that's important. So let's say we sign Gordon to a 2-year, $9 million deal, and then after year 1, when he has over 1,000 yards, he says, no, I'm worth more money. I'm going to hold out until I get my more money. We've seen that he is very selfish in that way, and I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. I know a lot of times you hear the word selfish, you automatically think of that as a negative term, and it is. But what I mean is he's more interested in that money, and when you have an NFL career that's so short, maybe that's a good thing. That's something that these players should be looking at. And like the world has shown us over the past 2 months, you never know what's going to happen as we sit in the middle of a pandemic. Again, guys, thank you for joining me. I hope that all of you are being safe out there, and that you are continuing to do whatever you're told to do by the CDC, by your state governing body, that you just are careful and you're using the proper precautions during this time. If they sign Gordon, he's running back number 1 in my opinion, says Daniel. I don't know if I agree with that. Again, you figure he's coming off a mediocre season at best. And Scott Blakely just came in with the $4.99 donation. Thank you, Scott, so much for the donation. Guys, if you want something read on the air and you want me to talk about it, just give me that super chat. Again, all the proceeds from that super chat goes directly into this channel, and it will just help me continue to bring you guys the best Buffalo Bills coverage I can. Singletary needs a solid 2 behind him. If there is no demand with Gordon or Gurley, hell, why not go get him? Again, Scott Barkley, thank you for the $4.99 donation. And you guys, you have to remember, the longer these guys wait, the price is going to go down, right? As long as none of the other running backs are being picked up. And what we heard earlier this week, I think it was even yesterday, about the running back position is there's a lot of fear with teams and the running backs in this year's NFL free agency because you can't see the running backs. You can't have your team doctors go and check them out to make sure that Todd Gurley's arthritis isn't acting up anymore, that Melvin Gordon's at completely 100%, that some of these other running backs are not at 100%, and that's why we haven't heard much from the running backs that are in free agency and them signing with different teams. I mean, the biggest running back name that I know of that signed is Tawan Jones, and that's with us with the Buffalo Bills, of course. So I don't see much action going on right now at the running back position, but you do have to ask yourself, does that mean when the first domino falls, they're going to continue to fall? Is that all that teams are waiting for right now, is who is that first domino to fall? And then we'll see how fast teams pick up running backs after that. And maybe that's what the Bills are waiting for. Maybe the Bills are satisfied with Gurley or Gordon for the right price, and they're waiting to see who picks up one of them, and then they'll make an offer at the other one and say, hey, we got the guy we want, because they want either one. And that's very possible. That's something that could happen. You don't pay $6 million for 1 year or 9 for two to be the number 2 running back, in my opinion. Well, when you look at what running backs go for, that's very possible that he will be a $6 million guy and a number 2. I mean, you look at San Fran, you look at Baltimore, and their number 2 running backs got a lot of carries this year. There's nothing wrong with being a number 2 running back. It's kind of like being a number 2 wide receiver. You still get paid good money. You're on the field a whole lot. You can definitely make money that way. A guy like Melvin Gordon can catch balls out of the backfield. We can line him up in the slot. We can line Singletary up in the slot to mix things up. Again, imagine what we could do with a guy like a Melvin Gordon or Todd Gurley on this team. I mean, that just adds another weapon. After the Stephon Diggs trade, you're completely talking about a revamped offense, at least offensive weapons. And we talked about this on this channel before. The Buffalo Bills are setting themselves up for, during the draft, getting the best player available. Whoever it is, just get the best player available. I think they're really set to do that this year in the NFL draft, and it's a good place to be because you can improve some positions still, cornerback, wide receiver, running back. You can improve some positions, right? And I'm not saying that the wide receivers and running backs that we already have aren't good. I'm saying that you can add some more depth there, some good signings, and you could really do that. And let's say DeAndre Swift lasts till the second round. Let's say Justin Jefferson lasts till the second round. Someone that maybe we didn't expect at the beginning of the draft process lasts till the second round. Well, now the Bills could pick him up. Bills could pick him up and say, we could use you. We could use you because of your talent, right? I mean, you could look at positions for the Buffalo Bills, cornerback, wide receiver, maybe an edge rusher, whatever you want to say. There's a couple of things we could still do better in, get more depth in, but there's nothing that looks out at you and says, oh, we need that, except for maybe a new punter, but I don't think we're going to draft a punter in the second round unless we become the Oakland Raiders. So I think we'll be okay. Again, thank you guys for joining me. If you haven't already hit that thumbs up button, guys, hit that thumbs up button. Again, Scott, thank you so much for the $4.99 donation. Again, all the proceeds from the Super Chat go right back into this channel to help me provide you guys with the best Buffalo Bills coverage. If you're new to this channel, just hit that thumbs up button, hit that like button, and also subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell. Guys, if you weren't subscribed and notified on Tuesday, I believe it was, we did like 8 videos on Tuesday. It was absolutely insane. Enjoyed every second of it to keep you guys up to date, to give you guys those player profiles that I know you guys enjoy. So again, thank you very much. Scott Blakely says, probably depends on Wade's progress. If he has shown any all last year and they anticipate him getting a legit opportunity, I think Christian Wade's going to be fighting with a guy like a Tawan Jones for that special team spot. I don't think that we can trust Christian Wade. And again, the coaching staff, the GM, the front office, they all know this kind of stuff better than I do. So I'm just giving you my opinion. But I don't think Christian Wade's going to be ready to be a number 2 running back, maybe number 3 running back with special teams capabilities. But I just don't know if he's going to be ready to be a number 2 guy in Buffalo. Chris Spencer says Norman $6 million. I think the idea of signing Norman, there's a lot of non-guaranteed money in Norman's deal, right? Josh Norman has to go out there and earn that money. There's a lot of incentives. There's a lot of signing bonus type stuff, roster bonus type stuff in that deal. So when you look at the deal straight up and you say, wow, that's a lot of money for a guy that really fell off the face of the earth in Washington, really break that deal down. It's actually not that bad. We're only on the hook for, I believe, about $1.5 million of that contract if he doesn't make it past that 90-day roster. So I think Brandon Beane did a great job working on that contract. I'm guessing that we gave him a higher number at the end of it just because he's willing to take a lower number at the beginning, right? If you're willing to only take 1.5 and this doesn't work out, we'll give you $1 million more than anyone else if it does work out. Because if it does work out, you have a phenomenal cornerback number 2, a guy that was a cornerback number 1 just 5 years ago, right? A guy that was a shutdown Pro Bowl corner just 5 years ago. I know he went to Washington. I know he stunk it up. But remember, Washington runs a completely different defensive scheme than the Buffalo Bills do. Washington has a completely different coaching staff than the Buffalo Bills do. If you look at Coach Leslie Frazier, if you look at Coach Sean McDermott, both two defensive masterminds, do they not always put the players in the best position to succeed? I'm going to say they do. They always put these defensive players in the best. Look at what Jordan Phillips just did. Jordan Phillips got paid, and he should have gotten paid because of the season he had in Buffalo. But if you look at the season he had in Buffalo, again, I'll say it's because of the scheme. And the scheme puts you in the best position to get paid, to have those stats. So if you look at Josh Norman, again, trying to call him Greg, if you look at Josh Norman, if they put him in the best position to succeed, he still might be a huge success. Washington did not do that. They just paid him a boatload of money. Norman took the money, and he unfortunately suffered the consequences. Now we get Josh Norman for the cheap. I'm a fan of that. I'd love to see Wade take DeMarco's spot. He's strong, could play special teams like DeMarco. Absolutely. Listen, DeMarco, I know he's a leader in that special teams locker room. I know he has a voice, but you need to have more than just a voice to do something on special teams. And listen, our special teams last year was not that good, right? We can all agree on that. Our special teams was not that good. Now, if it was DeMarco's fault or not, that's debatable, but DeMarco can only do so much. And if you're going to be a leader on special teams, you need to get those other 10 players to play up to a certain level, a certain caliber. And DeMarco just didn't do that last year. If we're saying that the reason we kept DeMarco last year was because of his leadership, then he needs to lead that unit better. And he didn't. He didn't. We were one of the worst teams in the league in special teams, and we just signed a bunch of guys who could help us in that special teams unit. And we have a couple guys on our practice squad, like Christian Wade, like Duke Williams, who could help out with the special teams. That would be great, Steve. I'd love to. Oh, yeah, that's the comment I read. Never thought of that. Love it. Listen, I would love to see Wade make this team, but I just don't know if that's going to happen. Sorry, it was supposed to say was not well. I didn't read the first comment. Sorry, the comments were going by pretty fast there, guys. Beans, MO in free agencies to set up for the draft. Yeah, and that for best player available, and that's what he's doing again this year. Daniel, that's a great point. So, again, on Twitter, I asked, who would you rather have? Would you rather have Todd Gurley, or would you rather have Melvin Gordon? Let me know in the comment section which one you would rather have. Would you rather have Gordon, or would you rather have Gurley for the Buffalo Bills? Again, right off the bat, I said Gordon, but one thing you could say about Gurley is he's never held out, right? He's always shown up to work. So that's one thing that you have on the side of Gurley. So we'll see what happens. He wasn't DeMarco was not the captain of our special teams unit, but everyone was saying that the reason why he was given a roster spot was because of his special teams play. And you can't say that he has great special teams play when we didn't see great special teams play out of a single Buffalo Bills player last year. I mean, we were missing some guys that we shouldn't have been missing when they got hurt because of their special teams capabilities. I'm just saying he's not irreplaceable as some people would have made you believe last season when talking about removing him from the 53-man roster last year. I just don't see it. I don't see why we're keeping him on this team when a guy like Christian Wade could do a serviceable job at special teams and probably add more to your running back room. I just don't know why that doesn't happen more often. Again, we have special teams guys now. I mean, heck, Taiwan Jones could add more to your running back depth and give you good special teams play, maybe even better special teams play than DeMarco. So what are we holding on to DeMarco for? I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. And I'm going to go to Spot Track right now and see what are DeMarco's numbers. How much money do we save by cutting Patrick DeMarco? If Patrick DeMarco does not make the 53-man roster, do the Buffalo Bills save money, or is it not worth it to cut DeMarco other than for talent level? So right now, we would save almost $2 million if we cut Patrick DeMarco. Patrick DeMarco is due to make $2.35 million in 2020. We only owe him $500,000 of that if he does not make the team. So you're talking about saving $1,850,000 by cutting Patrick DeMarco. And that might not sound like a lot of money, but if you add those cuts up and you replace them with a Taiwan Jones, who probably signed for close to $1 million or $2 million, that pretty much means that you get a better player and you signed him for the same amount you would have cut to Patrick DeMarco for. So it's pretty much an even split when it comes to signing a guy like a Taiwan Jones. So that's why it's important to do that. Scott Blakey says either Gurley catches the ball better, plus with his knee he won't demand number one status, plus we have great rehab facilities in my opinion. Chris Spencer says Gurley. He missed a bunch of games and had less targets. That's why it seemed he didn't have a good year, but he had over 800 yards, missing bunch of games. But why did he miss those bunch of games? Because of that arthritis, right? Because of that knee problem. That knee problem, arthritis is not going to go away, right? Arthritis doesn't leave all of a sudden. It keeps lingering, and then all of a sudden you don't feel well. All of a sudden you're missing a game. And what stinks about that is here we are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You have Todd Gurley. You're the coaching staff. You say, hey, we have Todd Gurley as a running back too. But to Scott Blakely's point, if he's a running back 2, he's not the running back 1, so he's going to demand less money, and he's going to be easier to replace if something is to happen to him. But when you go into practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you say, okay, this guy's ready to go, and then all of a sudden Thursday he says, coach, arthritis is acting up, won't be able to go this week. That leads to some problems. That leads to some problems when you're talking about creating a game plan for your opponent the following week. What if Clowney can't get paid and would take a 1 or 2 year deal? James, I think in order to sign Jadeveon Clowney, we really have to limit ourselves as far as who we re-sign from the Buffalo Bills, right? You're talking about Tre'Davious White, you're talking about Matt Milano, you're talking about some of those bigger contracts that we want to re-sign, we want to restructure, we want to give them the money they deserve. I think if you do that type of deal like that with Jadeveon Clowney, you're really hamstringing yourself when it comes to signing those other guys. Either with Singletary, they both would fit good. Don't need them to do all the work. And that's another good thing. If you look at LA, when LA had Eckler finally start going off and doing well like he did last season, you saw Melvin Gordon kind of take a back seat and do a little bit better when he was that secondary guy. And whether he likes it or not, if he does better in that role, that's where you need to stick him. Todd Gurley's always been the #1 guy in LA, right? He's always been the only guy in LA for what seems like the most part. So we don't know how he'll respond to less carries, right? Less carries, less responsibility, less of a load on his back. Just need him on 3rd downs, maybe something of that nature to take something off of Devin Singletary's plate. Play him out of the backfield a couple times. Play him in a slot with Devin Singletary in the backfield. There's plenty of options there if you pick up a Todd Gurley. Yes, Chris, if the choice is between those two, who would you pick? Clowney has an insane amount of penalty yards. I think it's a net negative against his production. I would believe that. I would absolutely believe that, and maybe for that reason, that's why teams are kind of shying away. You want to have a disciplined football team. In order to have a disciplined football team, sometimes you got to make tough decisions, and sometimes those tough decisions involve getting rid of or not signing a good player. I mean, that's why a lot of people pass on Ndamukong Suh, just because of all the penalties that came with having a guy like Ndamukong Suh. Was Ndamukong Suh one of the best in the league when he first came out in the first few years? Probably, but he was looked at as a troublemaker, as someone who's going to not be disciplined on the field of play, and so teams shied away from him. And so maybe that's what's going on right now with Jadeveon Clowney. Maybe he's getting that kind of treatment, like, hey, we see the penalty yards, we see what's going on, we need to make sure that this is a good fit before we bring you in. Arthritis in both knees, right? So Chris and Steve talking about Gurley. Yeah, he has arthritis in both knees. So again, it can act up at any time. So again, you can be ready to go, create a game plan. Todd Gurley's in, bam! All of a sudden he says, "Coach, the arthritis is acting up. I don't think I can go this week." And then where are you at? You're stuck playing a Tylan Jones. Maybe you keep TJ Yeldon. You're playing him, which there's nothing wrong with playing TJ Yeldon. But when you're expecting to play a Todd Gurley and all of a sudden you change it up with TJ Yeldon, definitely a little different there. Definitely not as much fear put into the opposing defense with TJ Yeldon compared to Todd Gurley. Let me read this comment by Steven. One of my concerns is that we just made a big trade for Diggs, and he's going to be expecting the ball quite a bit. And if we take either running back, they will be expecting the same most likely. Here's the deal. There's only one football to go around. You're right there. But now Stephon Diggs, instead of being a number 2 behind Thielen, he's our number 1 option. And he knows that going into the game. He knows that going into camp. If he's open, Josh Allen's going to find him, right? Now, that's not to say that we're not going to spread the ball around. We have plenty of offensive talent. And that's not even to say that Stephon Diggs doesn't want to win. Part of what Stephon Diggs' problem was last year, 2 years ago, is he wasn't getting the ball and the team was still losing. Now, I know they made the playoffs last year. They actually did pretty well last year. But if you look at when it really all started 2 years ago, Here they just got a huge contract with Kirk Cousins. Everyone thought this team was going to be the team to beat, yada, 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 and they still had a tough time getting by. Remember, 3 years ago is when they pulled off that miracle in the Meadowlands when they beat the New Orleans Saints on the last play of the game with Stephon Diggs. So there were high expectations going into 2018. Did not live up to them, didn't even make the playoffs in 2018. And that's when Stephon Diggs started to have problems. Then in 2019, every time you hit a little turmoil, next thing you hear about is Stephon Diggs not getting along with Kirk Cousins, not happy with the team, not going along. Scott Blakely, again, thank you for another $4.99 donation. Really do appreciate it, my man. Really enjoy that. With plugging all these holes in free agency, what's your gut on second and third rounds position-wise? Well, again, I think we can still do better at cornerback. I know that we like Levi Wallace. I'm a huge fan of Levi Wallace and Josh Norman. But cornerback is definitely still a position you can look at. But again, I think you still can look at wide receiver as well. You look at wide receiver, get maybe some tall guys, right? Chase Claypool. Listen, Chase Claypool will probably be there in the third round, right? But you don't want to take that chance that he's going to be there late day 3 in round 4. You know what I mean? Because he probably won't be there. A lot of projections have him as a late round 3 pick, right? So if he's a late round 3 pick and we have to go at 22, we take him. We just take him if he's available. So, but again, there's some other tall wide receivers. The kid from USC, Pittman, right? Pittman's a tall wide receiver. Get him. He should be available on round 3. I'm saying that length at wide receiver has become the most important thing at the wide receiver position. If we don't get Todd Gurley or Melvin Gordon or somebody else who's available in free agency, obviously you can go running back in free agency, get number 2 complement to Devin Singletary. There's a couple positions we can go. We can definitely still go defensive end and see what we do there. Now, there are some people that think since we signed so many defensive tackles, we're actually going to move Ed Oliver to defensive end, which was some talk that when we drafted him, he could do that as well. So maybe that's a possibility, but there's plenty of ways the Buffalo Bills can go here in day 2 of the NFL draft. Daniel comes in. He's laughing at what Steve said. What did Steve say? Most yellow flags. If Norman is 65 to 7% of the 2015 version, I will be ecstatic. If Josh Norman is 65 to 7% of what he was in 2015, we're gonna have the best passing defense in the league again. As my friends over at #sports would probably show that beer commercial again, right? I'm sure you guys have seen that if you are a fan of #sports. If you're not, go over there and subscribe to them. I have grade 4 arthritis, both knees. When the weather changes, it affects you badly. Wrong part of the country for him, just my opinion and experience. That's a great point, right? It rains, it snows, it gets that bitter cold. Your arthritis acts up. Well, what does it do a lot in Buffalo? It rains, it snows, it gets bitterly cold in Buffalo. So again, I don't disagree with you. If it's acting up in LA where the sun's shining, what's it going to do in Buffalo, right? What's it going to do in Buffalo? What will the weather patterns do to that arthritis for Todd Gurley if he comes to Buffalo? It's a great point. Mims would be nice. Mims would be a great draft pick too. Another tall wide receiver who the Buffalo Bills could pick up. And guys, as I'm chatting with you, I am continuing to look at some of the rumors going around in the NFL as far as if the Buffalo Bills are about ready to make any moves in free agency. I'm on NFLTradeRumors.com. I'm on NFL.com. And yeah, how about Sean Payton, man? Again, prayers and thoughts going out to anyone affected by the coronavirus right now. Just hope that you guys stay safe and continue to have good practices when it comes to your health. Still like Claypool, something about the kid. Absolutely, gotta love what Chase Claypool did in the draft. At the combine, he did a great job, and hopefully he continues to. He doesn't have the pro day anymore to show off, but his stock's rising. And so, would you guys be upset? Let me ask you this: would you guys be upset if we reached on Chase Claypool and picked him up at the end of round 2? Most draft boards have him going in round 3, but remember, we have a late round 3 pick. 22 is a later pick than we're used to, that's for sure. So would you be upset if the Buffalo Bills reached in the second round and got Chase Claypool? I personally would not. I would not be upset. If that's the player they want to get, that's the player they want to get. Now, you do have to, again, we have just talked about the Buffalo Bills setting themselves up to be in a position for best player available in the second round in what 44th overall pick or whatever it is, or 54th overall pick. Sorry. Um, would you be okay with them picking up Chase Claypool? Just simple yes or no. Would you be okay with them picking up Chase Claypool, who would not be the best player available according to draft boards in the draft, but would you still be okay with that? Well, yeah, Chenault will probably be gone, Steven, by the time the Bills pick in the second round. James Steen says, no, I'd move up for him. Talking about Chase Claypool. I'm so stoked I'm getting on my own news. Hey, Kenneth Osborne, how you doing? Welcome to Believers Talk. Glad you can make it. Again, guys, thank you for joining me on this edition of Believers Talk as we continue to look at the rumors around free agency involving our Buffalo Bills. Again, most of the day today, people were talking about the Buffalo Bills in talk, Brandon Beane in talk with Melvin Gordon to get him to Buffalo. Knowing the news about Todd Gurley being released by the LA Rams, again, the LA Rams would have owed Todd Gurley $10.5 million if he was on the team at the end of the day today. So they had to release him. They tried trading him, and again, Buffalo was rumored to be in trade talks with the Rams about Todd Gurley, but maybe they got wind that they were going to release him anyway and said maybe we'll just wait for that to happen. Do I think we will look at a future replacement for Poyer? If we're only signing him to a 2-year deal, then I think that's obvious that we are going to look at a future replacement for Poyer. I mean, at this point in Poyer's career, you should be signing him to a longer-term extension if you think he's going to be your long-term solution at that safety position. But glad to see Poyer stay in Buffalo for at least 2 more seasons, but we're going to see what happens after that. So I would not be surprised if we go safety on day 2 of the NFL draft at all. I think getting a young safety in there is never a bad idea. I remember back to that Jacksonville Jaguars playoff game when Poyer and Hyde both got hurt and safety depth was an issue. We haven't really addressed that, you know. I mean, I think we got Dean Marlowe back there, but, you know, we could still add depth to that safety position if necessary. To make this team even a bigger threat on defense. You want to take out Hyde or Poyer, we'll just bring this guy in and he'll do a serviceable job, if not better than serviceable. Yes to Claypool. I see 3 yeses for Claypool. James, an old Notre Dame fan, so he might be a little biased, but I'm a Notre Dame fan too, and that's why I say yes. So maybe we're all a little biased when it comes to picking up Chase Claypool. But again, we might have to reach for him. Now we might also trade back and get more 3rd-round picks. I don't know what's gonna happen. Obviously, that's the fun of the draft, right? Between Gurley and Gordon is what is Gurley looking for money-wise? Is he willing to take $5 to $6 million like Gordon? I think Gurley would have to. At this point, I think Gurley would have to. But that's why at the beginning, I talked about how I don't see anything happening with Todd Gurley today. The reason why I say that is because remember, if he was a Ram at the end of the day, he was owed $10.5 million just today, or tomorrow, I guess you could say, right? Just for being on the team. Not because of his work on the field, nothing like that. Just owed $10.5 million. So he still has this feeling that he's owed that money, right? So he still has this idea in his head that he's worth $7, $8, maybe $9 million, trying to get the money that he just lost today, trying to get that back. It's going to take a couple of days. It's going to take a couple of days for reality to sink in and him to realize, no, with my medical problems with my knees, I'm not worth the money that the Rams signed me for 2 years ago, which is why they released him. So I think it's going to take him a little while to put his pride to the side and actually look for another team to be with. And hopefully the Buffalo Bills are making that phone call. At least if they don't sign him, make that phone call, because that adds excitement to this team. That adds excitement to this team. If you have this guy as a running back number 2, he can definitely do things. He can rest up, make sure he's healthy as he can be, ready to go when the Bills call his number. Knowing him, Gurley's probably looking for 10, but who knows, his circumstances have drastically changed. Absolutely, Stevie, absolutely right. Chris Spencer, Georgia fan, I've been high on him for a while since he played Notre Dame. Are you talking about your Georgia fan? So are you talking about DeAndre Swift? Let me see if I can see the comment here. What are you talking about, Chris? Are you talking about Swift or are you talking about Claypool? Talking about Claypool? Claypool's just awesome. He is. That's kind of my point. Does he know his new market value? No, he doesn't. Steve, he doesn't know his own market value yet, unless he has a really good agent talking to him right now saying, no, this is your market value, man. That's why the Rams didn't keep you on the team. They weren't going to pay you $10 million. You're not worth it anymore with all those injuries. So I think that's part of the problem here with Gurley. I think it may take a while for Gurley to get signed. About, well, I mean, like maybe 2 or 3 days, so maybe not that long. But we'll see what happens. Again, guys, continuing to check on rumors around the NFL, see if anything happens today. Dan says he has no interest in Todd Gurley due to his bad arthritic knees. And you could definitely take that route. You could definitely take that route and say, Todd Gurley is too much of a risk. Guys, let me know in the comment section, what is the biggest surprise of free agency for you right now? Any team. What's the biggest surprise in free agency right now? I mean, for me, it has to be DeAndre Hopkins getting traded for a pack of gum and some old Cinnamon Toast Crunch. But I just think that that's insane that Arizona was able to get that much for so little. So we'll see. Also, the reason that we went in on Diggs was that T. Higgins pro day numbers were garbage. They originally were planning to draft Higgins. Maybe they were originally planning to draft Higgins, but I know his 40 time was slow. He didn't run the 40 at the combine because he wanted to wait for his pro day. He was resting up to get ready for his pro day, and then he puts up a disappointing pro day number, and that really might have affected his draft stock, right? And maybe it affected him so much that he'll be there day 2. We'll see what happens. Chris says Hopkins as well. Biggest surprise so far this free agency. Tom Brady going to Tampa? Anybody? Addison, I love the Addison move. That was great by the Buffalo Bills. I had someone say Claypool might go after pick 40 something. He will. He'll probably go in the 3rd round. So that's why I think we need to get him in the 2nd round, James. That's why I really think we need to get him in the 2nd round. Kenneth, I know that the Bills like what they have in Singletary, and just because we signed one of those 2 guys doesn't mean that Singletary gets any less carries. Again, maybe that's why we look at Gurley instead of Gordon. I think Gurley is more than willing at some point to be the number 2 running back for a team, knowing his health conditions, knowing his knee issues. But guys, you also have to think about this. If Gurley doesn't find the number he wants, does Todd Gurley retire? Does Todd Gurley pull a Luke Kuechly type move and retire young because of his arthritic knees? Obviously, when you're a running back in the NFL, your knees are kind of important. Obviously, I think Todd Gurley is going to retire early. Is it this early? So let me know, do you think there's a chance that Todd Gurley retires after being released by the Rams, knowing his knee situation, knowing his own health, knowing his own body better than we can, knowing that he might not be suitable anymore for the NFL? Just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think Todd Gurley might take this time and a chance to just retire from the NFL? Steve comes in. Steve talking about the question with Higgins. We're having a bad pro day. Marcus says Brady leaving was the biggest surprise. Obviously, that's a big surprise to everybody. I think Brady leaving and Brady going to the NFC. I'm loving that. The Bills have to be the favorites now to win the AFC East. Would you agree? I mean, I know we're Bills fans here, but let's be honest. We finished 10-6 last year, made the playoffs, gave the Houston Texans a great run for their money. Should have won that game. And now they lose TB12. They don't have a lot of money in free agency to spend anywhere else to get a big name quarterback. So you have to think maybe the Buffalo Bills are the favorite to win that division, and maybe the Patriots are not even second. What about the Miami Dolphins, who have 3 first-round draft picks? We'll see what happens. I must admit, I really thought all the Brady rumors was him posturing for a big deal in New England. Surprised that he didn't, if all we're hearing is true about Tom Brady, the fact that he didn't even want to give tell New England that he was interested in coming back is kind of amazing. I'm actually with you, Steve. I thought it was all posturing. I was not going to believe anything until the pen hit the paper and he was officially signed with another team. So to see this is just really it's just something crazy to me, because I'm loving it, right? I love the fact that he's no longer in a division. And believe me, guys, as Daniel says, the Bills will win the AFC East this year. And when the Bills are announced as the 2020 AFC East champions, it's not going to be any less satisfying. It's not going to be any less awesome to hear those words, to see it. Guys, if I'm live streaming the game where they clinch the division, if they do clinch the division, let's not count our chickens, there will probably be tears. You will see grown man tears on this channel. So make sure you continue to check out Billievers Talk if you haven't already. And then Rez says, yes, we will. Again, I think the Bills are favorite to win this division. Now we have to see what it's like for them to be the front runners, right? They're not used to being the front runners. They're used to being the underdog. So Coach McDermott right now needs to continue instilling in them that underdog mentality. Hey, people are still dogging Josh Allen, saying that he's not a starting quarterback in the NFL and that he's not the answer Buffalo needs, right? People are still dogging Devin Singletary, saying that he can't be a true starter in the NFL. People are still dogging John Brown, saying that he's not a true number one wide receiver. And people are still dogging Stephon Diggs, saying that he can't do it without the compliment of an Adam Thielen next to him. These are the type of things that Coach McDermott needs to instill in his team. People are dogging this defense, still not giving Trey White the respect he deserves. Remember, even Bills Mafia, and I was so upset about this, even Bills Mafia was saying, oh, well, we should have got Patrick Mahomes when they had their Super Bowl run. Trey White himself tweeted out and said, I'm feeling the disrespect from Bills Mafia. Feeling the disrespect from Bills Mafia. From this fan base that I love, he was feeling disrespected. Pro Bowl cornerback, all-pro cornerback, probably the first or second best cornerback in the league. And here we are talking about how we made the wrong choice by drafting him? Guys, that's not okay. That's not okay. Knox can't catch. He's going to... Yeah, Knox can't catch. Perfect, Steve. I got it, Steve. I got you. Great piece on the Bills and their chances to make the division. You gotta love their chances. I'm pretty sure that's what you meant, Scott. I'm not gonna do the MF part just because of what might be. Bills will always be dogged out. Haters gonna hate. They weren't dogged out in the 90s. They weren't dogged out in the early 90s. I promise you that. Let's get that team back. Four consecutive Super Bowls. No one's ever gone to 4 consecutive Super Bowls in a row. Let's have Buffalo do it one more time. Except for this time, let's finish the deal a little bit, right? Let's do it again. Let's do it all over again, except for this time, let's hoist that Lombardi trophy. And again, if you want to see grown man tears, give me that day. I'll give you grown man tears. I promise you that. But yeah, haters are going to hate. But that's the type of environment Coach McDermott needs to put in that locker room right now. Now, he needs to make sure that the team knows he believes in them, but he also needs to make sure the team knows that no one else does. Buffalo versus everyone. If you're a fan of Buffalo Fanatics, they have shirts that say that right on there, and that's what they need to do. They need to go out there and say Buffalo versus everyone. Good morning, football. Hey, Good Morning Football loves the Bills. Bills fans need to appreciate who they have, especially when who you have is pretty spectacular. Absolutely, Daniel. Completely agree with you. Completely agree with you. And I'm not saying anything bad about Patrick Mahomes. I'm not. I think he's great. But I just think Trey White's great too. And I would not replace the two of them. I wouldn't. I just wouldn't. I just think we got, not only did we get Trey White, we got another first round draft pick, gave us Tremaine Edmonds, gave us the possibility to move up to get Josh Allen, help out with that. So listen, I think that a team like Buffalo is always going to be a defensive minded team. And so you need great defensive players, not great quarterback play. We've had that before, and it did take us to 4 straight Super Bowls, but did we win any? No. We need great defensive play on this team. And Trey White, Tremaine Edmonds, they're going to be the centerpieces here in Buffalo for a long time, and I look forward to it. I got to see 4 of those. I want the win that comes after that. Then I will cry. Yeah, listen, again, I'll probably cry. Listen, I'll probably cry every step of the way. It's been so long, right? I mean, gosh, during the Houston Texans game when Houston started their comeback and the Bills came back to force overtime, there were definitely moments where I was close to tears. Close to tears. I don't remember spilling any for sure, but man, it was definitely a stressful day. The whole day was stressful. Nothing else mattered to me that day except for that game. My wife knew it. My friends knew it. No one could have talked to me in that day about anything other than that game. We need to have another winning season so people can't say our season was a fluke. I don't think people are going to say our season is a fluke. I don't think we're just going to have a winning season. Again, as someone said in this chat, I think we're going to have an AFC East division title in our near future. Again, as long as there's no injuries, as long as this coaching staff can coach this team up appropriately, and I think they can. What has this coaching staff and this front office proven to us is that they are what the Buffalo Bills need. This is, and I said this on Twitter, I'm not used to having a good GM that's reliable. So even now, 3 years into Brandon Beane's regime, There are still moves I'm looking at and saying, man, we need to save money. Man, we need to do this. Man, we need to do that. Just because I'm used to it. I'm used to saying that. I'm used to going in the offseason saying, man, how can we cut dead cap money? How can we get rid of some of these players? What do we need to do to make sure this Bills team doesn't fall into any salary cap penalties, yada, yada, yada? We got to trust Brandon Beane. He knows what he's doing. Let's be the only team to win 4 straight. I would cry with you, says Mario. Listen, let's flex those muscles, baby. Let's flex those muscles. My missus lost it when? When are you talking about the Houston game? The Houston game was just nuts. It was just absolutely nuts. And I even asked myself that question: can I even handle success at this point? Are we so used to losing as Bills fans? Can we even handle the success that it would be if we made it to back Super Bowls? But let's get to one first, right? Before we start talking about repeats, let's get to one. It would be really cool to see us get there at least one more time. Again, guys, thank you for joining me on Billievers Talk. If you're new to this channel, you want to hit that thumbs up button. Again, as I am talking to you guys, I'm constantly keeping up to date on trade rumors around the NFL. I don't want to miss anything. I want to make sure I give you guys the best coverage of the Buffalo Bills that I can. So let's make, so again, thank you for joining me. Hit that thumbs up button, like this video, and leave a comment. Again, just checking. You guys know I can't do 2 things at once. So as I continue to read some of these trade rumors going around the NFL, see if the Bills are involved in any of them. I do apologize if I get a little quiet because I can't read and talk at the same time. Apparently, I can't chew gum and walk at the same time. Doing 2 things at once is just kind of impossible for me. Gotta believe, right here. That's how you say it, Rex. You gotta believe. I agree, Kenneth, with strength of schedule being highlighted all year for us. We need a successful season. I think Bills all the way, but it won't be easy. Not much different between great teams and bad. This is not the 90s. You're right. The salary cap's a lot different these days, right? Salary cap's a lot different these days. Evens the playing field out a little bit. And as Chris said, according to the experts, I've talked to you on this channel plenty of times about how much I hate strength of schedule going into a season when we don't know who's going to even be on teams, who's going to get hurt possibly in training camp, things like that. But according to what the schedule shows us, this year's strength of schedule is really tough compared to last year's, which was bottom 5 in the league, I believe. Now we're a top 5 in the league. Strength as far as strength of schedule, as far as hardest strength of schedule. So we will see what happens. But again, guys, thank you for joining me on this edition of Billievers Talk. Again, going live most Thursdays during the off season. I'm live every Thursday during the regular season, giving you my pregame prediction for the game coming up on Sunday or Monday, depending how many primetime games the Bills get. And we'll go over my pregame on Thursday. Now, if they get a Thursday game, obviously that changes things up a little bit, like it did this past year for the Thanksgiving game. But I will constantly keep you up to date on my schedule. So again, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. We'll notify you when we are going to put out new content. You want to make sure you catch that. And like this video if you're watching this on the replay. And leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Do you think the Bills sign either Todd Gurley or Melvin Gordon? If you do, which one would you rather have? Would you rather have Gurley or Gordon? I think what we've established in this chat is if we have Todd Gurley, he's probably more willing to take a back seat, take that RB2 type approach, which also means he's going to sign for a smaller number. Melvin Gordon, a little bit of a hothead, but probably still has more miles on those tires. You know what I mean? He probably still has more pop in his step. So do you want to take Melvin Gordon for a little bit more money and have that 1-2 combination with Singletary and Melvin Gordon? That's a possibility. Bills will dominate, 13 wins, division bye, and first home game in decades. If we get the bye, remember now the bye only goes to the #1 overall seed. So what that means is you think we're going to beat out Kansas City, you think we're going to beat out Baltimore, you think we're going to beat out the Indianapolis Colts with Phillip Rivers now, you think we're going to beat out those 3 teams, maybe the Houston Texans without DeAndre Hopkins. They're going to be a little bit different, but they still got Deshaun Watson. They still got a pretty decent team over there in Houston. So we'll see what happens. But what you're saying now, by saying that we'll get that first round bye, that means you think we're going to be the #1 overall seed. I'm good with being the #1 seed. I'm good with making a Super Bowl run from the 2 seed, 3 seed, 4 seed, 5 seed, 6 seed. Hopefully not, but even the 7th seed, if that's what it takes to make it to the Super Bowl, have a good Super Bowl run. Kevin says, sorry I was late. What did you guys talk about? Hey, Kevin, it's all right. Let me take a drink real quick. start this video off by talking about Todd Gurley and Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon and obviously Todd Gurley cut today by the LA Rams. Melvin Gordon was rumored to be talking with Brandon Beane, with his agent. So obviously they were close to a deal at one point in the day. Still haven't heard any official word about that yet, if Melvin Gordon is going to be a Buffalo Bill or if we have to wait and see what's going to happen there. Haven't really heard too much free agency news within the past hour or so. Things have kind of quieted down. Probably about an hour before Sean Payton came out and said he tested positive for coronavirus. Again, wishing him nothing but good health and good fortune. But I haven't really heard much. But we know that Todd Gurley was released today by the Rams. Because he was due $10+ million if he stayed on the Rams through today. So the Rams released him. After that, we talked about the draft a little bit, what I thought maybe the Bills would get in round 2 and round 3. Talked about Chase Claypool a lot. We all like Chase Claypool. We all agree that we need to get size at the wide receiver position now that we got some more speed with Stephon Diggs. So we talked about him a little bit. We talked a lot basically going on here. We talked about what our biggest surprise was so far in free agency. Some say Tom Brady, some say DeAndre Hopkins trade. Some big news going around in free agency. So again, guys, hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. But yeah, that's what you missed, Kevin. Unfortunately, I was just getting ready to get off here. I really appreciate all you guys. Again, Scott, thank you for the super chats. I really appreciate it. And guys, remember, if you need something read or want something read live on the air, happy to read out the super chats. And again, all the proceeds from the super chat go directly back into this channel to give you guys continuing Buffalo Bills content. If you're not subscribed to Billievers Talk, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button for continual Buffalo Bills talk. And again, you want to make sure that after you hit that subscribe button, you hit that notification bell, notifies you when we post new content. You better believe if the Bills sign Gordon, Gurley, or any other of the free agent running backs or any of the other free agents here in the 2020 free agency, we're going to cover it right here on Billievers Talk. So again, guys, be safe out there. Continue to listen to the CDC's advice. Listen to local doctors if you've gone to the doctors recently. Try to keep yourself socially isolated or whatever they're saying. Wash your hands. Be smart always, and just be careful out there. Let's go, Bills Mafia. Stay safe, as Chris Spencer said. Again, thank you guys for joining me on this edition of Billievers Talk, this live edition of Billievers Talk. I look forward to seeing you all soon. Until I do,